on count of 3, 2, 1. Hi Vedika.
Hi Anup, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Same here. So I think तिम्रो बारेमा मैले फर्स्ट टाइम थाहा पाएको चाहिँ एनसेलको इन्स्टाग्रामबाट तिनीहरूले ड्रिमर्स एन्ड डुवर्स भनेर एउटा क्याम्पेन गरिराख्नु भएको छ, त्यहाँबाट थाहा पाएको. अनि हेर्दै जाँदा फेरि चाहिँ इन्ट्रेस्टिङ लाग्यो होइन. अनि मेसेज पठाएँ, यु रिप्लाइड, देन वी मेट. अनि खतरा लाग्यो मलाई सबै कुराहरू सुन्दाखेरि चाहिँ.
I'm glad.
अनि आई थिङ्क लास्ट टाइम फर्स्ट टाइम भेट्न आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ मेरो दिमागमा एडुकेसमा त थियो, तर हाम्रो भेटेर कन्भर्सेसन गइसकेपछि धेरै कुराहरू भयो होइन. सो आई थिङ्क विल ट्राई टु ब्रिङ दोज टपिक आजको पडकास्टमा. तर आई थिङ्क Educase would be something I want to start this podcast with.
Definitely, and I want to share about it because it's like a little new and very personal to me. So yeah.
So yeah, what is के हो Educase भनेको?
Okay, so the pitch deck which I usually give, the 30-second pitch which we have to give people, to simply put it, Educase is a social enterprise where we've designed a school bag which folds into a desk for children in government and community schools to have a personal and comfortable space at both home and at school to study. That's my 30-second pitch.
Okay.
But there's a lot to Educase more than that 30-second pitch because it's a social enterprise and it's an impact-related enterprise. So what we actually want to do with Educase is create child-friendly spaces, and my main long-term goal is increase access to education and also increase access to girls' education more than anything. So coming from that perspective, we started this idea of Educase, which was my college project actually, not even something we were like, oh, let's come up with a startup idea. It was just for a business course. So that's where Educase came about, and we liked the idea, our peers liked the idea, our teachers liked the idea, so we were like, let's give it a try. And now since 2019 we've been giving it a try because I think in startups and everything you can never say that I am there, it's always DIY and experimenting. So yeah.
So अनि interestingly तिम्रो co-founder चाहिँ फेरि non-Nepali Pakistani हो.
Yes.
So you guys met तिम्रो mastersमा.
Yes. So we met during our masters at London School of Economics, where I was studying innovation and entrepreneurship. And our entrepreneurship course part, we had to come up with a business idea. Like you mentioned, my co-founder is non-Nepali. She's actually Pakistani, and she's living in the US right now, so very mixed. But our group was even more diverse at the time. Two of us decided to take it forward. But that time we had a group of 5 people because the requirement was 5 people, and we were from Nepal, Pakistan. I've covered one girl was from Cyprus, someone was from Nigeria, and Singapore. So the most diverse group of people you can ever find, I guess. And one thing that connected all of us, we were like, one, we want to do something like socially impactful. That's why we came up with, a social enterprise.
Was that the requirement to बेला तो group form गर्दा फेरि चाहिँ you कि त्यो ग्रुपले लिएर आउने business idea has to be around society, has to be about giving back, या त्यस्तो केही requirement थियो?
हैन, केही requirement थिएन. It was like any business, sustainable business idea basically. So no social impact or extremely for profit or anything. Ours was the only social enterprise. Everyone else was like the typical business school idea sounds funny. So it was like that. But we wanted to do impactful.
Why? किन त्यस्तो भयो?
That's something I've always wanted to do actually, and all of us had that in common also. Like one way a group project I believe works is if all of you like what you're doing. We've all seen the stereotypes of college group projects where someone is not working or one person is doing everything, or you hate doing group projects. But I actually like doing group projects. I've been lucky enough to find a good way to work with them. So for us, we always wanted to do something that was positively impacting society, because that's something I've always wanted to do as a kid also, personally. Others, I don't know if they wanted to do it since they were kids, but then they wanted to do it at the time. So we were like, okay, social enterprise, tara in what now? And education is something that's common in all countries, and each country has their own problem, no matter what, however developed or not developed you are. So we thought that, and we could relate as students about other things you can't do. And Tiobela, it's the fastest way of getting research answers also. No, college ma you can go to college students and ask. Tara, the idea developed from basic giving college students some kind of better place to study. Ki our library was always so full that there was no place to sit and study. So we were like, let's find a portable study space in the library. So we thought of a portable desk at the time. Then we started doing more research, and then positive impact ko route liera. We thought refugees, refugee crisis is happening all the time in the world.
त्यति बेला ओपन थियो के हैन 2000 यो कहिलेको कुरा हो
17
2017 कि ठुलो कि ओपन
Syrian refugee crisis was happening. I mean, it's still happening, but that time we were like researching on that, and we spoke to people. Like I'm from here, and Neha is from Pakistan, so we knew like in our countries what problems are there when it comes to like poor infrastructure in education, or like difficulties in education. And the earthquake had happened in Nepal like few years before that, so we thought, why not target like temporary classroom structures or classrooms that aren't well built. And त्यसपछि from London I was messaging NGOs in Nepal. I was calling them and I was asking them for answers, and they didn't believe me that I could make something like this. They were like, is it even possible? And even our mentors, college ko belama, they didn't even... London. They couldn't even imagine a classroom where kids had to sit in a temporary structure or sit on the floor. They were like, why would they sit on the floor?
किन त्यो वर्ल्डको प्रब्लमै हैन
छैन
यो त हाम्रो यो वर्ल्डको
Exactly. And firstly, I had to clarify that sitting on the floor is not the problem. Sitting down uncomfortably is the problem, actually. True. Like for them, it was hard to imagine कि कसरी भुइँमा बसेर पढ्ने,
तर हाम्रो कल्चरमा त भुइँमा बस्ने भन्ने कुरा it's very common.
No, it's not even a bad thing, actually.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Younger kids, younger classrooms, they prefer bhuima baserko classrooms because it's easy to, make it functional, I would say. So I would try to explain them that sitting on the floor is not the problem, because they're like, koi chair, koi isma, yo to matha table ho, and XYZ. But then I told them that no, that's not the problem. The problem is they don't have a desk to sit on, or desk to use. They're sitting down uncomfortably. They're bending down for like 6 to 7 hours, whatever the classroom duration is. Ghar gai pachi pani, there is nothing. You have to sit uncomfortably again. So how do we fix that problem? And then they understood once we showed them like pictures and said that this is normal in Nepal. Like there are like 3 million children studying in these conditions. So, 3 million is not a small number for a very small country.
अनि मैले लास्ट टाइम पनि भन्थे नि जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल यो रुरल एरियाजको लागि भन्दा देन यु सेड कि तिमीलाई थाहा पछिल्लो एउटा स्कुल हेर्नुपर्छ तिमीले, एन्ड देन यु नो कि काठमाडौँमै पनि भित्रभित्र कतिपय ठाउँमा चाहिँ स्कुल्सहरूमा टेबल कुर्सी
हुँदैन. Like I was talking about Thapathali to you. Someone recently told me about Basantpur Tira. That is like central Kathmandu. Couldn't get more central than that. अनि बसन्तपुरमै स्कुल यस्तो छ भने remote can get so much worse.
You can only imagine.
Yeah. So we've seen classrooms with like literally nothing. Just a tin ko roof, side ko walls पनि थिएन. अनि in most cases, some cases मा roof थिएन, some cases मा it's a concrete wall, no windows, nothing. So it's like uncomfortable in different cases. Taraima is a different problem. Ita is different. Mountains ma is different problem. So everywhere is different problem. So this somehow managed to fit in all scenarios, And recently we spoke to this organization about like feedback and, how can we implement this. And they were like, more than classrooms, we see this fitting so well in disaster situations because children get displaced so easily in terms of school flood. There's so many times in Nepal, schools get flooded away. So in that case, children don't even have a classroom to study in. So you get your Educase, create a desk in a place which is safe, and you have a classroom there. So the idea was not just for like classroom in school or poor classrooms or something, but just creating comfortable spaces anywhere you can.
And I think we can also see the sample. तिमीले उ पनि लिएर आएको छौ. यो हामीलाई I'll try to.
Okay. I'll instruct you as you go.
Okay.
So no, you don't have to do that. There's just zippers here.
Okay, this one?
Yeah, so it looks like a regular bag if you see.
So you can literally carry like this?
Yeah, there are 2 straps and you can carry it like a regular school bag. Okay, you open both sides. And you open the flap, right? So now this is the leg structure. Okay, it's stuck to the Velcro on that side. That side. Yeah. And you stick it on the other side. Like create this triangle. Exactly. And same thing on the other side. And you take these 2 panels in. Underneath. Yeah, done.
Okay.
It took you a few seconds to do it for the first time also.
So यसमा चाहिँ बेसिकली अब उनै भयो टेबलै भयो
Definitely. And like it's strong enough, I can guarantee that if you sit on it, nothing will happen.
केले बनाएको यो लोकल प्रोडक्ट अभाइलेबल प्रोडक्ट नै हो
Local. We made sure that local नै हुन्छ. It took me 2 years to design this. So fabric नै हो, the trekking backpackहरूको material जुन हुन्छ नि अनि inside is just cardboard. So cardboard त जहाँ पनि मिल्छ.
So you environmentally पनि
Yes. So the reason for using cardboard is, of course, one is easily available. Second, lightweight. But we had to think about environment to a certain extent also, because now social entrepreneurship ka one big thing is that if you are doing good in one community or one area,
cannot be doing bad in
it's not like you'll be like, okay, I'm doing well here, so let's ruin that. We have to think about everything holistically. True. So environment also.
So this all for this design to come into this shape, it took you 2 years.
Yeah, like 2 years-ish, we worked with different things. It took us 10, 11 prototypes. This.
So who did the design?
We worked with a college student in London itself, and he was studying product design, and he was nice enough to help us out. So we reached out to him, and then we of course had like a few designs pahla dekhine, but he did he played a very big part in coming to this exact design. Ki pahla there was no fabric, it was made out of plastic, and we weren't happy with it, so we tested out a few things. Ani त्यसपछि I would make those prototypes in Nepal to see if it's possible to even make it in Nepal. That was very important. London मा त design भइसक्यो, it's fine.
And it does not make sense बाहिर बगाएर फेरि यहाँ नेपालमा चाहिँ गर्नु.
Exactly.
Because the other challenge is to also make it as affordable as possible.
Affordable. तर locally also you're contributing to the economy then. That's also another part of social entrepreneurship where you're like locally helping out the economy and the community. But also like we custom make it for organizations. So getting that flexibility is like suppose someone is like malai 20 चाहिन्छ यो logo सँग अनि I want 30 more with this logo. If it's coming from a different country, I can't do it that fast. तर here I can make it in a week and send it to them.
अनि अहिलेको लागि चाहिँ यो कस्तो भएको जस्तै for example companies like corporation reach out to you to plan there's some CSR activities where they pay you guys produce the bag and then the bag gets distributed to right areas.
Yeah, so the model is basically like that. Organizations buy it from us, and it can be like local government, it can be INGOs, NGOs, or private organizations ka CSR, and we make it for them. And if they have their own school networks, then they distribute it amongst their own school networks. Otherwise, we find schools for them as well. So, it's easier because a lot of times people have the money, but they don't have networks of schools or children, but they want to help.
Oh, they don't know the problem. Key problem solve karne hai na?
Problem tha. So luckily or unfortunately, actually, I don't know what's the right way to put this. Everyone knows the problem here. But outside, so we've had a few customers from the US or Australia or something where they want to help. They know that the situation is bad, but they don't know how bad it is or where to send it to. So then they'll just like buy it from us, and then we'll be like, okay, it goes to this school, then we'll send the details, pictures, and connect them to the principal and everything. So kids don't buy it. I mean, the reason like the problem exists is also because they can't afford to have these things.
True. तर यो फेरि आई थिङ्क अर्को एउटा कन्फ्युजन लास्ट टाइम तिमीसँग भेट्दा फेरि मेरो क्लियर भएको चाहिँ दिस इज अ फर प्रफिट कम्पनी.
इट्स अ फर प्रफिट कम्पनी
होइन, बट देन वेन यु लाइक आई थिङ्क फर्स्ट टाइम सुन्दाखेरि त भिजन मिसन सुन्दाखेरि त इट हेज टु बी एन एनजिओ, इट हेज टु बी एन आइएनजिओ, इट हेज टु बी अ नन प्रफिट कम्पनीज भन्ने पर्सेप्सन छ नि त. सो यो फेजमा आउनुहोस्. सो माई क्वेसन टु यु इज यसलाई चाहिँ वाट इज द पर्सपेक्टिभ यु लुक एट यो फर्मेट अफ कम्पनीजलाई बुझ्यो मैले भन्नु खोजेको?
100%. किनकि यो क्वेसन धेरै आउँछ. इट्स लाइक अ लट अफ टाइम. एन्ड रिसेन्टली ओन्ली आई गट आस्क्ड बिकज वान अफ माई फ्रेन्ड्स, cousins or someone, they knew about Educase very vaguely or like had heard about it or something, and I met them after a few years recently, and they asked, oh, are you still doing that bag co project or something? And I was like, okay, yeah. Like I explained what it was exactly. And she was like, where does it work, and how are you making impact, and all those questions. And then when I explained the business model that organizations buy it from us, she's like, but you're making money out of this. And I was like, yeah, it's a for-profit company. I never hid the fact that it was not a for-profit company or for-profit or something. It's never a secret. I openly say it's a for-profit social enterprise. And that term social enterprise, again, it means that you can run a business. And it's just legitimizing a term where it's okay to make profit while doing good. There's this notion that if you're making impact, you cannot make profit, and if you're making profit, that means you are doing the bad thing. You are doing something, taking advantage of your customers or something.
So culturally, I think that's the problem.
Exactly.
Nepali culture ko the problem.
And it's always seen that businessmen have their own incentive of like making sure that only they are benefiting, that everyone else is not benefiting. So many times on Twitter and all, also like when I'm reading, they're just like, business people ko afne own agenda huncha matri आफ्नो लागि अनि अरूको लागि. It's like always negative, But then social entrepreneurship, luckily, as soon as the term came, and now that it's getting more popular, luckily people will hopefully sooner understand that it's okay to do both, For example, I always wanted to do a business since I was young, like start my own business. That was my aim in life. And the second was, but I always wanted to make sure that, whatever I'm doing, there's some positive impact to it. Earlier, I would think maybe environment ko side ma I'll start something that is not harming the environment or something like that. And after thinking about all that or sharing my ideas, everyone was like, oh, you should start an NGO or you should start a non-profit. First answer. And I'm like, why can't I like do both together? Why does it have to be NGO and non-profit? Why can't it be like a mix of like, you're still doing business, but you can do good things as well.
This way, why do we even need to add social enterprise? You can simply do a for-profit business and do positive impact out of your work, right?
It's just a middle way of like giving a term to something, like even in business also, like when registering a company, like something very simple. There are different types of companies also, right?
Yes.
But it just defines what path or what your way of doing business is in that sense. So in this, as soon as I say I'm a social enterprise, I don't have to hopefully explain 2 years down the line that my business main incentive is to create impact. I'll just directly say. And you're answering your question again, actually. I'm doing this fellowship program right now for Educase. It's called Unison Youth Fellowship. Eunice is from Professor...
Eunice, Bangladesh.
Yes, exactly. Yes. It's through his initiative, and he's the one who almost like started social entrepreneurship. And he put it very clearly ki, all these years, like for hundreds and hundreds of years, there have been regular businesses, right? Like for-profit conventional businesses that don't actually do impact and only look out for themselves. And we're still suffering from the most basic problems in the world. People don't have water, people don't have food, environmental issues, gender issues or educational issues or everything. There are these like big basic life problems that we're still suffering from that didn't get solved by the conventional businesses who still implement or are working in these spaces, right? So every business, or when you're coming up with a new business today onwards, try and make it in a way that you're solving one of these problems. It doesn't have to be your main motive. It can be your main motive, up to you. There are even, like, for example, the biggest of companies now can incorporate some sort of social entrepreneurship values within their business. So that's the basic outline of it. How you approach it is different. How we approached it is we want to solve this problem of gap in education. We're starting out with Amro Backpack, which you just saw. That hopefully down the line we can create more products that create accessibility to education. And we're doing it in a way that's sustainable for us also to run a business. Because if I was giving it away for free, how do we survive for the next few months or years? If I sell it to someone who already have funds for these products, then might as well, take advantage of that route.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Social enterprise, you can't take the profit home. You can make profit, but you can't take home, right?
It gets reinvested into the business. So, I mean, there are like salaries and everything all the employees get, but there are no like dividends given out. So
for you, even as a founder, the only money you can make out of this is through salaries.
Yes. All the other profits go back into the business to keep it running.
Makes sense. So tomorrow, because I think एउटा confusion कहाँ पनि हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ भन्दा फेरि चाहिँ, because in one vertical you are trying to do things for the children, and the अर्को vertical मा चाहिँ you are selling it not directly to the children but then through a medium, and you are in a way एउटा कस्तो देखिन्छ भन्दा फेरि ए हो कि तिमीले बनाएको प्रोडक्ट चाहिँ राइट अडियन्समा जाँदैन यदि you don't find people to put money in. अब आइडियली चाहिँ त्यही नै हो, because everything needs money to हुनको लागि हैन. सो मैले भन्न खोजेको चाहिँ भोलिको दिनमा यस्तो पोटेन्सियल छ, जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल यो ब्याग त अब हामीले कतै कतै पोर्टेबल टेबलको रूपमा पनि युज गर्न सक्यो नि त हैन.
म आफ्नो युज गर्छु अल द टाइम.
यो आई थिङ्क यो वर्क फ्रम होमले गर्दाखेरि यो पोर्टेबल टेबल यति धेरै भाइरल भएको छ बिकज सबैलाई हामीलाई बेडमा आफ्नो के अरे सोफामा बसेर काम गर्ने बानी भएको छ सो त्यो कन्टेक्समा भोलिको दिनमा यो यस्तो D2C पनि जान सक्ने चान्सेस छ
and again, like going back to what people constantly keep asking me about this, they were like, why don't you sell it to regular people, like, you know, regular audiences ma, Darazma, you should put it up and everything. That is a valid point and valid idea. But I think what differentiates, or what I was actually discussing this with my co-founder, and we were wondering, like, how do we address this question? Like, a lot of times people ask us, why don't you just go commercial and, you know, easy routes, how, you know, you do that, because social entrepreneurship is definitely more difficult than regular entrepreneurship. And we thought that by the end of it, it comes to, why did you start this business, you know? Like, for example, you may start a tech company because your main motive is to make money, and tech is a great place to make money, right? Or you started a company for coding to teach people coding, so your main motive is coding. So it's where you put your time and resources in. And mero lagi, we started this company because we wanted to make an impact for kids who don't have these resources or who don't have access to education. So for now, like right now, most of my time and resources or mind, energy, everything is going to the places so that these kids get it. But maybe when I grow my team, we can do it to, you know, again, the larger regular audience as well. And then what we will still continue to do so that we don't shift our focus is the model maybe where, you know, if you buy one, a kid gets one for free, or like some kind of model, or we can subsidize it. But we will not change the main mission of the company of creating impact for students who actually don't have anything. So D2C or not, it still has the same mission. But
it will always be a social enterprise.
Yes, 100%.
Because I think if you're going into a D2C, if it clicks, it's a good way of making money.
Then you run in that direction and you forget about that. It's very easy to get distracted and be like, oh, you know, I'm making money here. Like, it's so easy. Why should I go back to doing that? But then it's just about what motivates you to work every day. You know, how everyone says that, you know, you should like what you're doing. It is so true. Otherwise, you would cry every day going to work, you know. And I like doing this. Like, people ask me, why are you doing this? What is the best result you got out of this? Or what is the biggest benefit of working with Educase? It's like when you go to the school and see the children using something you created and their lives are getting better, that's the best result I've ever gotten.
How did the name came into its formation, Educase? You suitcase education la mix
exactly, education and like a case basically, and we were just brainstorming names and then one of us just said Educase, and we were like, okay, it's easy to pronounce. That's something very important when you come up with a name. Easy to pronounce, it's one word, it's catchy, and it makes sense because, you know, anytime anyone asks so Educase, they immediately get it, so it's, you know, easy to remember also.
Nice. Ani, your partner is in US, होइन? नेपालमा I think partnership मा एउटै ठाउँमा बसेर काम गर्न त गाह्रो छ, होइन? How is it working out for you?
Definitely has its challenges, 100%. I think that is one of our biggest challenges, but Neha and I have a really, really great working relationship actually. Ki college ko full year ma we did projects together, so I know her style of working, I know my style of working, and we know each other's. I think we fill in each other ko gaps. You know, working ma, like she's good at some things, like she's more, she's better at qualitative things, I guess, business ko side mein, and I'm better at quantitative things. And we
define quantitative things.
Like more like number related, or like, you know, all that financy things or whatever. That's easier for me. For her, like research, customer research is easier, like understanding feedback and trying to implement that. So she's better at that, where I lack. So, you know, we complement each other luckily. And then luckily in the day of like technology, if you have the will to make it work, you can make it work. So we work across time zones, Nepal or US, or a lot. Like Paila, she was in the UK before this. She just moved to the US. So before that, she was in the UK. So we were working Nepal and UK. So, you know, that we always had that time zone ko challenge. But what we easily do is a lot of work happens on the computer for any business now. It's not just, you know, tech companies or something. Literally every business, 60% of the work can be done online. So we've divided the work, anything that has to do with like groundwork or like meeting people personally, I can do that easily because I am in Nepal. And the reason why we started with Nepal first is because I live here. And
So the Educase is only operating in Nepal right now?
For now.
Okay.
And
all the information that goes to your partner is through you?
Yes.
So तिमी नै हो त्यो resource material जे भन्यो नि the center of information?
100%. If I don't know something, then probably she won't know that about Nepalma ke bhairachha, like in terms of the work we're doing. But no, then anything that can happen online, she can easily access it online. I feel like more people know her in Nepal now than people in Pakistan. Like, I keep telling her
because
that.
Of Educase.
Exactly. Because I tell her that you're more famous in Nepal than you are in Pakistan, because any article that's come out about Educase or any media coverage we've had, she's also there always
and
with
she
me.
has a typical Nepali name, Neha.
Yeah.
It's not a Pakistani name.
No, it's not. Like, she always tells me also, anytime I introduce myself, like outside, anywhere, even in Pakistan, they always think she's Indian or something, because her last name is Ahmad. So, like, in Nepal, it's lesser to find that. And,
true.
you know, and Neha has a very
common name.
Yeah, very common name in India and Nepal also. She's like, my parents liked it, so they just used it. There's no other explanation to that.
So, पार्टनर राख्नुको कारण के भयो? बिकज इफ इट इज अपरेटिङ इन नेपाल, तिमीले हेरेर आएको छ, ऊ गरेर आएको छ भने चाहिँ त्यो वाट इज द एडिसनल भ्याल्यू द पार्टनरसिप इज ब्रिङिङ टु यु?
One, definitely just like having someone to share your ideas with and get their ideas, because you don't know everything, you know.
Definitely.
Like, that is one thing that people should know going into a business. You don't have all the knowledge in the world. So the more people you have around you, the more knowledge you're getting, because you're sharing all that. So partnership in terms of that with like just any partner, that's amazing, and Neha and I have that. And secondly, her being outside Nepal can be an advantage for us, because when we grow to other countries, then it'll be so much easier to have like a partner that's outside Nepal, because as Nepalis, everyone knows that we cannot set up business outside Nepal, or you can't grow your business outside the country, but having a non-Nepali partner helps with that, definitely.
I would definitely come on that. But before, I think मेरो अर्को क्वेसन चाहिँ के हो भन्दाखेरि, यो प्रब्लम त सबै हाम्रो साउथ एसियन कन्ट्रिजको प्रब्लम हो होइन? सो यसपछि बाहिर एक्सपेन्ड गर्ने भनेको त पाकिस्तान नै होला?
Pakistan, India,
Bangladesh, Indonesia,
Sri Lanka, everything, like any country.
Any, like त्यो पनि third world country हुनु पर्यो mostly, या second world country?
Yeah, sort of. Mostly any African countries cha, and there's like East Asian countries ma, like Vietnam, Cambodia, all these countries, also Indonesia, as you mentioned. So ani South America ma pani धेरै cha. So actually there's like a lot of countries that it's applicable to. So that's the great part. That's why I'm excited to, you know, work on this, because it's not like, okay, Nepal ma bhayepachi done, like, you know, scope is over.
अनि कुनै पनि देशमा गयो भने त प्रोडक्सन त बाहिरै हुनु पऱ्यो, बिकज जसरी युकेमा बनाएर नेपालमा ल्याउनु सेन्स हुँदैन. इफ यु वान गो एन्ड इस्टाब्लिस दिस इन अफ्रिका, इट वुड नट मेक सेन्स टु प्रड्युस हियर इन export to Africa, right?
Yeah, I don't want to do that also. Like, I don't want to make it here and send it. One is cost. It is impossible to send anything to a different country from here without it increasing the cost to a significant amount. So ideally, I would want to, like, whichever country we go to, we would set up manufacturing there itself. And the best part about the design, why it took us so long to make it, is also we wanted it to be super easy to make.
And your design pattern certain भइसक्यो?
भइरहेछ.
Okay.
That's very important. Otherwise, I wouldn't be openly, like, you know, giving it to everyone or, like, you know, all that. But a patent bhairach. And one reason is, again, like, as soon as we get it, as soon as it's finalized, we want to expand to other countries easily because it's applicable there. It's so easy to make, actually, with the right, of course, instructions and everything, that it can be made anywhere. The materials which we've used, fabric and cardboard, available anywhere. Any country that's ever made a backpack can make this. Any country that has a packaging industry can make this. So, you know, it's pretty easy to make, and that's why it took us so long to make, because the simplicity in the design makes it harder to design, actually. Like, you can make very complicated designs very easily, but to make it simple is actually pretty difficult.
Yes, simplicity is hard. I know. So, when we will start to see the news कि Educase is outside Nepal भनेर त्यस्तो केही छ target plan?
I mean, I would say 2023 I want to start it in a different country as well. 2022 we still want to sort of have a more foundational base in Nepal. We've actually already started getting a lot of inquiries from other countries, more than we've got it from Nigeria, South Africa.
Because you already had a network त्यतातिर?
I know. So, as I mentioned, I was in the fellowship of Unison Youth, and we did another program called the Because International Accelerator. So these both are global accelerator programs for startups, social enterprises to be specific, not just startups. And it had a global audience. And then when we pitched in those different programs, a lot of people heard about us, and like we're active on social media or LinkedIn or things like that. So it's not that we only have like people in Nepal looking at our work. People from the outside also have access to it through social media. So they like it and they're like, can we get it in our country too? I mean, of course, we can't send it immediately. It's not like you have to say yes to every single opportunity immediately. But we don't even say no. We're like, okay, we'll get back to you. So I already have a list of 11, 12 people from different countries who've asked us for it. And we will reach back out to them as soon as it's possible to send it.
Ani, how is the experience Nepalको corporateहरूसँग काम गर्दाखेरि? Because I think यसको मेन पजल भनेकै corporate has to put money in नि त हैन, प्लस वान अन वान किन्न पनि पाइँदैन क्या, बल्कमै मगाउनु अर्डर गर्नुपर्छ. सो अहिलेसम्म कस्तो कस्तो च्यालेन्जेसहरू फेस गरेको छौ या के छ टेक अवे?
So immediately we haven't worked with a lot of corporates actually, because the first 2 years you have to make sure that you're showing impact, or like you have to prove that it's a product that works, right? So for that reason we started working with NGOs, local NGOs, because they work ground level directly with the school.
And they had fund पहिलेदेखि?
They have these funds for backpacks or school ko supplies or so most NGOs that do educational intervention, or even like organizations that do private companies that do education related CSR, first step is backpack dine. So we were like, okay, if they're giving out backpacks, why not give something that creates double the impact, instead of just one. So that was easier to create our business model also.
Because त्यहाँ multiple parties-सँग जानु परेन, एउटै party-सँग गयो कुरा गर्यो, if it works it works.
Yeah, 2-in-1 product पनि भयो नि. So for that reason we actually started with NGOs पहिला, and right now our focus is a lot on these impact focused organizations. So NGOs are impact focused, non-profits and everything. They work directly with the schools and give us feedback immediately. So then, and they can monitor how it's being used also. And once people get used to the idea, schools get used to the idea of using a new product, something like this, then we can like properly reach out to corporates, because for them, once they spend on the CSR, then it's not like they're constantly going back and checking impact, or even though ideally it would be great if they did it. But, it's first is just establishing the product, like proof of concept almost, because it's a completely new idea. It doesn't exist anywhere else. It's not like people are like, okay, backpacks, chute, or like desk. We're creating something new out of like thin air kind of thing. So we have to at least prove the concept, and it doesn't happen overnight, especially if you're doing something that affects children. So we have to like work on it slowly, show that it works. And in this pachi we'll work with corporates. But experience-wise, I think in terms of people understanding or accepting the product, that has been great. That was my biggest fear. What if no one likes it? What if they think it's the worst? Then my 2 years of designing with the product designer and Neha and everything is just gone in thin air. I won't say waste, because it's still been a great experience. But we have to at least make sure that it's working. So it's been great that way, that people accepted it very easily and they understood it.
Who are the people who give you direct feedback? Is it the children or the parents or the teachers or the people from NGO? Teachers,
any NGOs, and then sometimes if I can visit that particular school, I do speak to children, but how much can a 5-year-old tell you, They'll be like, hey, mero naya bag, and whatever. They get excited. So I'll take the excitement as positive feedback. The main feedback comes from teachers. Parents sometimes, again, unfortunately, government school and community schools, one big problem is also that parents aren't very involved. And that is something we want to sort of incorporate in our way of approaching schools or something in the future when we, talk to schools and everything. Get parents involved as well, and that's how education improves, right? So sometimes parents as well, school, definitely I bumped into so many parents and I spoke to them. Parents, teachers, NGOs are a big thing, because their work is also to create, collect feedback of any of the work they're doing and create impact reports. So if they're already doing it, it's easier to, go through them as well, because they have volunteers on the ground at all times. So yeah, collecting information is through all these 3 routes.
सो अहिलेसम्म खासै त्यस्तो कर्पोरेट्ससँग काम चाहिँ गरेको छैन.
अहिलेसम्म ठुलो त्यही बाहिरको स्मल पिपल ग्रुप अफ पिपल देयर लाइक ओ वी वान्ट टु हेल्प किड्स इन नेपाल भनेर आफ्टर दे हियर अबाउट अ प्रब्लम थ्रु द इन्टरनेट or like one of their colleagues is Nepali or something like that. But no, now we're slowly reaching out to more corporates as well.
Do you think it is going to be more tricky or more difficult to work through corporates? You find it much more easier to work directly through NGOs? NGOs.
Both actually have their pros and cons. So in terms of NGOs and INGOs, they directly have that project ki hamlai bags dina cha, school supplies dina cha. So they have that. So that can be easy. But the con is that a lot of times creating these projects takes some time because they have to coordinate with their funding.
They're slow.
Yes. So it can be slow. If you catch them in the right time, it can be super fast. Like we've made decisions within 2 hours. There have been decisions over 6 months. So that's there. With corporates, CSR ma sometimes like now either there are some corporates they're like we can do CSR in any department. We're okay as long as we're doing some impact work. And some are like we only do environment ma or we only do education ma or we only do that. So the problem with this, at least for me, what I'm facing is firstly finding those organizations who do it on education. Ki one problem working in Nepal, I think, is finding information. I don't know if you face this problem or not.
You find it information, but then you never know these information are like
reliable or not.
Exactly.
Right? Outdated information you get, or like for example, I'll just Google suppose India Komai or like in UK or something, because those are the 2 places I've lived in. If I Google, okay, I want organizations that do CSR in education. I will get a list of 100 organizations immediately, and that list will be something that's not more than 4 months old.
True. More reliable.
Very reliable. When we were doing research for Educase, Nepal ko scope herna belama, we were finding how many children are studying in community schools, how many children are out of school, or those results. Government ko website ma aile, there is a report that's there for number of community school children or government school children. It's from 2017. Aile it's 2022. So like the place that has to be the most reliable is still so outdated. Then how do we expect any other information anywhere else?
Exactly.
So just finding information about like corporates who work in XYZ spaces has been hard, because the culture is like first place you go to is bank. Bank are the biggest corporates and all that. Because here there aren't those MNC type culture and everything and easy to find information.
Because there are not many MNCs as well.
Or like those new or like modern businesses. It's all like family business and their traditional style. So it's not easy to find information anyway, because they're like conglomerates with like different things they're doing. So it's hard to even keep track of which space they're working in.
True.
So MNCs, it's their work to show that we are doing this amazing work in XYZ CSR sector or something like that. That first is banks, and then slowly it's mostly word of mouth. Like I have to ask people like do you know anyone?
So now, coming from a business background, how difficult has it been for you to start something like this? Something like this which is not just about making money. I think coming from a business background, the support on I want to start something that 100% makes money would be much higher than I want to start something which is social enterprise. We will make money, but then I won't be bringing money home. So how difficult has it been for you?
Fortunately, not very difficult. Fortunately, I can't complain, as many may have or would have faced the problems. Like people are like, how hard was it to start your own business? Coming from a business family, when you say that you want to start your own business, it's the best news the family can get.
But then later you add social enterprise, would not be much difficult to convince.
Actually, my parents were pretty okay with they were like, we already luckily we had that thing of like do whatever you want kind of environment. So I was lucky enough to have that openness and that flexibility of choosing what I want to do. Fortunately for them, I wanted to start my own business. I won't say unfortunately that I'm doing a social enterprise. They didn't mind it at all, actually. And even if they did, I would be like, well, this is what I want to do.
That's your problem, okay?
I mean, you can't stop me from doing that, but I didn't have that problem. But also for me, and for most entrepreneurs or people who come from business families, at least in Nepal, because we're so used to seeing not just working in one space, they know that I don't want to stop here. Educase is not my one and done. Like, I want to start another business. I constantly think about different ideas also. May not have worked on it right now and may work on it when the time comes, or come up with another idea another day kind of thing. But again, this is not my one and done. Even I want to work on like different ideas, and they might be profit making, so they might wait for that. But no one was actually upset that I was working on a social enterprise. And that way it was not very challenging for me to start it. And again, coming from a business background, you do get a lot of support in terms of information also, because I can networks. I try to create my own network, because again, this is from a social background, right? Like, it's a social enterprise, so a lot of the networks I've had to have are in the development sector, and I didn't have access to too many of those, so I created those on my own 100%. Like, I reached out to people, I joined organizations, or I joined different groups, or like Facebook, you search one and then from one you reach to another kind of thing. But in terms of like, I can imagine it being so difficult just to register a company in Nepal. I had so many challenges, even though I had someone helping me, telling me, oh, you can do this next, this is where you should go to register, this is where you should go to do this form, that form. So I still faced a lot of challenges, even though I had help. So I can't even imagine people who come from a completely non-business background and are starting out from scratch, how they would start. So I definitely had a lot of benefits and privileges in that sense, and I know it, and I'm really grateful for it. But starting out otherwise can be very challenging over here.
So what was the most challenging part? Now you cannot say it was all rosy. And
No, of course not. Firstly, if you start something that is completely new and random, that is the biggest challenge of it all in general. Definitely, of just convincing people that, this is something that exists, or this is something that works, or me telling people that this exists kind of thing, By this, I mean that getting the word out there. For example, someone wants to order a backpack and someone wants to order a desk. They will go to a backpack manufacturer and they will go to a furniture shop, okay? But because they don't know what Educase is. But if they knew, then they didn't have to go to those two people. They would directly just come to me and get it made. So one is the biggest challenge is that. One I'd already mentioned is that of like, information is not available. I actually haven't lived here, so for me that was the biggest challenge, is that I also don't know people. I don't know where to get things done, or the little tricks, or like getting things done in Nepal. For me, I didn't have that because I'd never lived here.
So you completed your bachelor in India, you
Yes.
completed your master in London?
Yes.
And then you are here after your... Okay.
Yes.
Okay, please continue.
So then after not having lived here, I didn't know how things work here also. For me it was like starting from scratch in understanding the country itself. So not knowing that was my biggest challenge firstly. So, understanding how to work with people, or my language barrier was also there. My Nepali isn't the greatest right now. I'm working on it, and it has gotten better over the years.
Okay.
It has definitely gotten better, and hopefully it will get better too. But, just working, for example, working with the government, there are ways of working with them that make it efficient or positive results.
True.
It doesn't happen that you call someone in the government and they accept you. Nothing works like that, right? So I didn't even know how to do that. So for me, understanding that was difficult. So, for example, to understand that, I made sure that when I moved back, at least I did a job or something somewhere that I'm not only in that bubble of family business, that I'm like interacting with people who are outside that and working in the development space.
So where did you work?
So I did the Daitwa Fellowship, the Public Policy Fellowship. So I was sitting and working at the Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Supplies for 6 months because I knew that whatever point I'm working at Educase, I'll have to work with the government. Maybe not that department itself, but you understand how the government works there, or how you even speak to a government official is very different. I didn't know that. I thought you can speak to them formally, how you would speak to any corporate person or anyone in a formal setting. No, there are like different words you're supposed to use. Like how you address like a minister or a secretary or an undersecretary, there are different words for them,
okay.
right? For every single person, there is a different word, or like, it has to be done in a certain way. And I didn't know that. So the first day I was there, I was speaking to everyone normally. And one of my friends who was placed in the same ministry, she was like, Vedika, I think you should speak differently. And I was like, got it. So just learning all that is also very important. And no one tells you that you have to do it.
So how many months did you work there? 6 months?
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
So any realization, any frustrating moment, any eureka moment you had during 6 months?
It was a very, very interesting experience. I mean, there are people, if you know that people always talk about how the government is inefficient, and there are people who say it's efficient. Some people say it works really well. Some people say it doesn't work.
What's your take on that?
I'm in the middle now. I met people who actually want to do, who actually want to make things happen and want to work on it. And I met people who, they want to work on it, but maybe not as efficiently as we would want them to. Or, a lot of times I used to think that, okay, there's this problem in Nepal. If you create this rule or policy or something, the problem gets solved. That was my thinking, because that's how it works in a regular business, startup ma or something. You'll be like, okay, mero yo problem sa yo customer sango. Okay, we'll talk about it for an hour. We'll find a solution immediately and implement it, and problem solved. That's how it works, right? That's not how it works in the government.
How it works in
there
government.
are 1,000 people who have their opinions on that same small problem, and then it takes years or months or whatever, more than you would want for that to come into implementation. Now maybe so I used to think that's a bad thing sometimes. I'm just like, how can they take so many weeks or so many months to come
Or years.
Yeah, or years to come up with this solution kind of thing. So I was naive enough to be like, no, if someone makes it, it's such an obvious solution, it has to work, But then I learned that there are so many pieces of the puzzle that go into place, If the Ministry of Commerce is making a decision, then it affects industries, whatever it could be, the budget or something, some other rule that they are coming up with, it might affect that. So there are a lot of things that come into place also, a lot of variables that you have to consider. So maybe that's why it's taking so much time also. So there are positives and negatives in all places. So I would just say that it was a very interesting experience, and I learned a lot.
Any stark एकदमै के भन्छ prominent realization जहाँ चाहिँ staying and studying outside for such a long time and then coming to Nepal and directly working in a ministry for 6 months, त्यस्तो केही sharp realizationहरू या takeawaysहरू त्यस्तो केही थियो जसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ you were like, what the fuck? त्यस्तो मोमेन्टहरू केही थियो?
But one, if I had to pick, was we just need to be more open-minded to like I feel like Nepal is so far behind when it comes to a lot of just basic information or being open to new ideas or anything. We're so far behind. And that was something, because I moved back directly from UK. That is miles ahead of us.
True.
Right? So in that way, I was just like, I wish, people in Nepal, the public is very open-minded, at least the people who I have interacted with.
Or the youth.
The youth, exactly, the youth. And people making the decisions are clearly not the youth. They are way, way older than the youth. So, and they're making decisions for people who are getting affected are the youth, right? So there is that generational gap already. So you always see that gap not going well. So for example, if you have to talk about the most obvious problem that we in general face for years and years and years, for women and everything, old men are making decisions for women or policies for women. So it's the same thing. Old men who don't have maybe experience in XYZ sector are making rules for things that aren't in their experience. So we are getting affected by that. And for example, in another country, if someone is making policies on, hopefully no one takes this as a fact or something, I'm just giving a very hypothetical situation. So suppose someone is making rules about the economy and everything, so that person has years and years of experience in research and has studied economics and finance and XYZ. But here, of course, I'm not saying that they haven't, but there have been, ministries
Instances.
and ministers or government officials who actually didn't have any experience in that sector but still were ahead of that sector and making those rules. And that really, played with my mind of like, why is that even a thing? Like, how can they do that? We are expected to finish our masters and get degrees and degrees on business and experience in startups or corporate experience to run a business, but then to run a country, you don't need to have that at all.
So didn't it trigger you to run away, like after staying outside for so long and getting to know about this, यो ministry के level मा हैन भाग्न मन लागेन सबै कुरा छोडेर?
I have thought about it. I have thought about it, but no, I mean, one thing I've always thought about, or like I've spoken to like people, maybe family or friends or something, that we keep complaining. Okay, we keep complaining that Nepalma yo chaina, these are the problems, why am I living here and all that. But then if all of us leave, then who's going to solve the problem? If I think I am educated and I am, seeing those problems and I think that there is a solution to it and I leave, then who's going to solve it? So, and how people constantly talk about how Nepal ko youth is like leaving the country and going, and that is one of our biggest problems here, is all the skilled people actually run away.
5.6 million have already went outside in last 6 years.
And like a lot of skilled people also, they're just like, okay, I am really good at this field, but there's no scope in Nepal, so I'm going to leave. And if everyone leaves, then who's going to create that scope?
And सबैजना youth हो फेरि, because average age नै it's there 24 year old.
Exactly.
The most prominent age to learn new things. And त्यो context मा चाहिँ I think we are losing a lot of potential doers as well.
Exactly. So like what I can bring into this is like, now that I've seen things happen there, like things happen well and efficiently, or whatever the positives are of those countries, I can come back and implement that. That is my contribution then, because like now when I come back and work here, I make sure that I work in the middle. Like I can't work like someone who works in the UK. That's different. Then it won't work in Nepal because our context or our cultures is different. How, sitting on the floor is very normal for us, and for them it was the most shocking information they ever heard. So in that same sense, like bring some positives from here, bring some positives from there, mix it together and then find that balance. So even with Educase, when we work with people or something, for example, I have worked with small businesses here where replying on time is like the biggest ask you can have from any business or something. Like them replying within 1 week is like, oh my god, I got a reply finally. And most cases my reply pani hudaina and everything. So like even the most basic thing of like replying to people on time, or like reaching somewhere on time, or like something like that is just respected, or like implementing the most basic things also just helps, I guess. So bringing the best of both worlds, I would say.
नेपालमा यहाँ जस्ट धेरै मान्छेसँग मैले लास्ट टाइम पनि यो कुरा निकालेको थिएँ होइन. धेरै मान्छेसँग कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कुरा हुन्छ अनि कहाँ गएर ठोकिन्छ भन्दाखेरि पोलिसीमा डिपेन्डेन्ट छ भन्ने हुन्छ. एन्ड देन रेज यु ह्यान्ड, देन यु मुभ टु अ सेकेन्ड टपिक. अनि द्याट्स हाउ आई हेभ सिन लट अफ लाइक माई फादर जेनेरेसन, मेरो ब्रदरको जेनेरेसन हेज इन्भेस्टेड देयर होल लाइफ अबाउट कम्प्लेनिङ, होइन, बाउन्सिङ इट टु अ वाल अफ पोलिसी, अनि इट्स नट अन आवर कन्ट्रोल, एन्ड देन यु सिफ्ट टु अनदर प्रब्लम. फेरि त्यही लुप हो, त्यो के भन्छ, भिसियस सर्कल के. त्यो कन्टेक्समा कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कहिलेकाहीँ मलाई चाहिँ पोलिसीको बारेमा त कुरै गर्न नपऱ्यो हुन्थ्यो भन्ने हुन्छ होइन. तर फेरि लास्ट टाइम हामीसँग कुरा गर्दाखेरि पनि तिम्रो मेरो पनि हामी कहाँ पज भएको थियौँ, पोलिसी होइन. सो हाउ डु यु टेक अल दिस?
So I thought about it a little bit after, because I remember हाम्रो 100% agreement त भएको थिएन. It was just like a agree to disagree kind of conversation. तर what I thought I could have said better or something was that why we get stuck in that policy is, by the end of it, they are like, so the word policy is actually kind of annoying, and I know you don't like it also. I know you don't like that word, so I'm going to change the word so that it helps us agree to a middle point. I won't change your views completely, and I don't think mine will change completely right now, at least. So instead of saying policies, I'll say rules. Ki basically that's what they are,
Yes,
It's like playing by the rules kind of thing. So for example, like one of the things which we spoke about and why we got stuck in policy, the thing is growing a startup outside Nepal, and why don't we compete in like the
globally,
international market and everything, because, and my answer by the end of it was policy, right? Kinaki, for example, if I didn't go by the rules, it's illegal, That's the whole thing. Like, for example, startups ma basic things, how you work as a startup, I think you shouldn't play by the rules only. There are ways you can go about it, but by the end of it, legal and illegal ko line
Differentiation
also.
गर्नु पर्यो.
And that's where the policy is that line between illegal and legal. Within the legal boundaries, do whatever. That's fine. And you should be completely thinking out of the box or trying to experiment and not playing by the rules in that sense. And by that I mean that a lot of times Nepal ma or India ma actually also South Asia ma this is this problem because of our education system is we are told to always play by the rules. Books ma je lekeko cha you have to do only that. And even when we're studying for exams it's literally like just mugging up that, and that's sort of bled into the culture of how we work also. Tara policy in this case is literally the line between being illegal and legal. That's why I think all conversations end with that. For example, like if the rule wasn't there to do unethical or wrong things, then someone would be robbing a bank without getting any no consequences, and that's again the line. Why aren't you robbing a bank without going to jail?
True.
Policy. That rule is there that you can't do it. So it's about being illegal or legal. That's my only line. Otherwise, I don't want to find excuses that I'm not working, like I'm not doing well because of policy. That is not the excuse. It's about being right or wrong. So for example, if I wanted to grow Educase, if Neha wasn't in the picture, if I wanted to set up Educase in Africa, one of the African countries,
or anywhere outside Nepal,
I couldn't do it legally. I couldn't do it legally unless I had an outside partner or I was an NRN or something like that.
So where is this business registered?
Nepal.
So now if you want to start in Africa,
I can't do it. Neha will do it.
So she would be registering in Africa itself?
Yes, as her subsidiary or something. Tara, but legally I can't go outside. And then why can't I expand? Policy.
So this way, the Nepalco Educase business, in paper you are the solo owner?
Yeah, right now.
Okay.
And that's fine. I mean, we're barely even paying ourselves right now. So it doesn't matter, like, what's on paper, it's how we're working. And once we grow and then we find a legal way to work where both of us are, there.
So how are you sustaining the business right now?
Whatever we buy, whatever we sell to organizations, we do have a small profit margin, which goes back into the business and keeps it running.
How many people are working right now, Educase, including you?
Yeah, including me, 4 people. So we have 2 interns and Neha and I. And
including Neha, it's 4.
Yes,
okay. So 3 people from Nepal.
Yes.
1 is you and 2 people are interns.
Yes.
Okay. They are working from home. You have a centralized office?
No, we are working from home. And office is not required today. Like literally everything can be done online. Like we meet once or twice a week when needed. Once a week compulsorily, and otherwise we meet extra if needed. But I give them independence to work from wherever they want or however they want, or time and everything. And then, like, there are of course like basic guidelines and everything, or like goals and stuff. But they can work how they want.
Do you think like the Educase ma chai other full time people bhako bhai यसको skill यसको speed लाई चाहिँ अझै speed up गर्न सकिन्छ जस्तो feel हुन्छ?
I think so. Yeah, it could be faster. But then again, it depends.
It has to make money for that, right?
Exactly. And in beginning, it doesn't make. It's not like we are in loss or like dying or something. But of course, like to grow, you need to have that kind of capacity. Like for now, we've reached like 1,000 students within a year, which I still think that's a good thing. But I want to.
You only per bag it's equal amount regardless of who you work with. So एउटा bag लाई चाहिँ कति पर्छ?
One bag, like, so no, it depends on the order size also. Like just one bag will take you like 2,000 rupees because it's just one bag and it's difficult to make. But if you like have like 200-300 bags or something, then I can bring down the price to like 1,700 because it's easier to make for the makers also, So yeah, it depends on the size of the order.
Okay. So Vedika ko regular time to कसरी divide हुन्छ? Like Educase मा divide हुन्छ and then you also help your family business.
Yes. I don't know. I can't even say 50%. It depends on the day also. Kind of like Educase ma, I don't have to spend so much like physical time. It's like a lot of like thinking and all, which is constantly happening no matter what. A lot of times family business ko side ma धेरै के हुँदैन that day. And there's a bigger team there, so I definitely spend more time on Educase, and because of the time difference, daytime I'm working on it with like customers. That evening ma Neha and I have calls almost every other day. She lives in the US, so then we have that 12-hour time difference. So we speak in the evening. So definitely time-wise, I spend more on Educase, and it is my first priority. But then it's not like I push away your family business co-work also, because I actually find that very, very interesting too. And in that, I try to, find new ways of working or something. Or for me, that is actually a learning space, because Educase started almost right after college, so I didn't have like too many years of work experience. It was the Aitoka fellowship, and त्यसपछि almost immediately. So for me, constantly working with my family is just like learning how to do things like every single day, how to run a business basically.
And तिम्रो core expertise चाहिँ के हो which you bring into a table as an individual? कुनै पनि बिजनेसमा या इभन फ्यामिलीको बिजनेसमा हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ what is that one thing that you bring into a table?
I think business development and adding like how to like take it from point A to point B. So I'm like good at like operational things and growth management and all that. So two things I feel like it just comes like I enjoy doing that, and or like educationally marketing and innovation is something I've studied. And by innovation, it's not always inventing something.
Evolving पनि innovation मै
Evolving, exactly. So just evolving the work is something, but ideally what I would like to do is bring in my own vertical, I would say, and sort of like grow that, like join that to the business.
Okay. So like coming from a generational business, starting something your own, still having so many ideas to start more other businesses, what are the struggles that we don't really talk about mainstream? Yeah, because I think एउटा पर्सपेक्टिभबाट there are multiple perspective to look at things. होइन एउटा पर्सपेक्टिभबाट जेनरेसनल बिजनेसबाट आएकोलाई चाहिँ अब हामीले इट्स इजी फर यु नि त टु स्टार्ट समथिङ द्याट हेज टु इनिसिएट समथिङ द्याट हेज अलरेडी बिन इनिसिएट जसको मोमेन्टम पहिलेदेखि छ होइन. सो त्यो कन्टेक्समा चाहिँ आई नो द्याट इज नट राइट होइन, बिकज आई हेभ फ्रेन्ड्स हु आर फ्रम अ जेनरेसनल बिजनेस एन्ड when I talk to them in a private way, they do share about all the complicated things that is not much talked about. Right? Yes. So is there anything that तिम्रो लाइफमा ऊ भएको या तिम्रो स्ट्रगल्सहरू which you are very like के भन्छ open to talk about? त्यस्तो केही छ?
No, definitely. I think like when people say that, oh, it was so easy for you, you had a family business, you don't have to think about applying to jobs, you can just like start, there, like it's easy for you. I mean, the only easy part I think is and most people will agree with that, and is that we have a fallback option, I would say, like if things go extremely wrong, I can like take support of that. Okay, that's the only easy part. Everything else is not easy actually. So one is like for example, some people in some families, there's this pressure of you have to get into the family business. There is no other route for you, like for example, some people pressurize their kids to become engineers or doctors. You have to do that. So there's that pressure of family business goal also, that you cannot do anything because otherwise this business will die. And then the emotional how can I let my family go years and years of work just die? So one is that pressure of like not doing anything else. If you're lucky enough to actually want to join it, in my case or in my siblings' case, like we actually like it. So then that wasn't the biggest challenge. Tara, compared to like the work I'm doing with Educase and the work I'm doing at the family business, I find that so much more difficult because like I was telling you Paila also, that with Educase, ask me any question, even the most detailed question, it'll take me seconds to answer it because I have seen every single thing of it. I have made it grow from wherever it was, and I have overseen every single detail, be it the price of buying a pen, for Educase. Like I can tell you how much that pen cost me also, very small details also. Tara, family business, because it's been working for so many years, you don't have all that knowledge, okay? And you come into the family business, of course, like learning from a very like ground level pani. It's not like your parents make you join and suddenly you are the director and making all the decisions. Doesn't work like that. People actually think by about it works like that, because in paper it looks like that, but when you're actually working, you
just climb like the staircase, right?
Yeah, you have to climb the ladder.
So do I the alone business?
Exactly. That fear of like killing that massive business that's grown, त्यो तो already था. Second is like you are entering into a business with already so many people working from so many like years of experience and everything, that you are completely new and people assuming that you're in the management already. So that already becomes difficult, and that pressure. And then definitely family business, you do step the ladders a little faster because like if you had a business and you had a child, you would want them to become
the CEO, definitely,
before anyone else, right?
Yes.
So that benefit we get, and I mean, sorry, we grew into that privilege, but it's not like we chose to do that,
Definitely.
So it's not anything wrong technically. Anyone would do that for their kid. Tara, once you're in that management position, that thing of not having those many years of the knowledge of, suppose someone is like, but what happened 10 years ago? We had that one problem. How do we how do we fix that problem again kind of thing, or how do we refer to that again?
And I think यो केसमा चाहिँ considering नेपाल इन्डिया या नेपाल इन्डियाको फ्यामिली बिजनेस जुन लेभलमा छ नट एभ्रिथिङ इज डकुमेन्टेड एज वेल.
नट एट अल कहिले काहीँ त पेपरमा हुन्छ अनि त्यो पेपर हरायो के भयो एन्ड अदरवाइज इट्स लाइक कन्भर्सेसन्समा पिपल मेक द बिगेस्ट डिल्स जस्ट आउट अफ लाइक अ कन्भर्सेसन ओ लेट्स डु दिस अनि भयो. इट्स नट डकुमेन्टेड, इट्स नट it's very traditional, I would say. Even still, like now people, I think hamro age ko people are changing that and documenting it. I literally document every single thing, you know. And sometimes my dad is like, you know, like why is that? I'm just
even
like
needed.
Let me do it, you know.
I was talking with one of the hamro yo FDM ma काम गरिरहेको दाइ उहाँले चाहिँ के भन्नुहुन्थ्यो भन्दाखेरि I think the problem with a lot of Nepali businesses are a lot of important decisions are being taken in dinner table or bedroom रे के.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. We have conversations so many times, our family ma. So it's not just like my parents or something. It's like there's brother and whatever,
partners,
like, and all that, you know. So a lot of times what happens is like etikai basira, like breakfast ma or like dinner ma, you're sitting and chatting, and decisions are made. And a lot of times even I get troubled because I'm just like, okay, fine. My job is like 9 to 5. You sit on the work and whatever decisions are made. Great, okay. A lot of times I'm not there for dinner or I'm not there for lunch and suddenly a decision is made and I'm like, you made it outside office hours. That's not fair for me, you know. I wanted to know or I wanted to be there for it.
And I think that's the difference, right? You know, just for example, if I would have started my own business and if regardless of time, I am curious, I want to know about it. It's not even about 9 to 5. Hell, I'm okay deciding about a business even at 12 o'clock at night, you know.
Yeah.
But then start joining your parents' business. त्यो इन्टरनल मोटिभेसन चाहिँ कमै हुन्छ होला नि त जे भने पनि होइन कि अफकोर्स यु डु इट बिकज यु हेभ टु डु इट बट देन डिप इन साइड युर हेड जस्तै फर मी इट्स लाइक माई बिजनेस इज अलवेज द नेक्स्ट थिङ द्याट आई हुन्छ दिमागमा कि जे भयो भने कि होइन इट्स लाइक अ बेबी त्यो फिलिङ चाहिँ आई थिङ्क आफ्नो प्यारेन्ट्सको बिजनेसमा नआउन पनि सक्यो नि त होइन आयो नाइस होइन सो त्यो चाहिँ आई थिङ्क इट्स अ च्यालेन्ज प्यारेन्ट्सहरूलाई च्यालेन्ज हो कि यो चिल्ड्रेनहरूलाई च्यालेन्ज हो यो
हुनसक्छ बोथ साइड्स हुनसक्छ बिकज लाइक यु सेड मेरो बिजनेस इज माई फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी एन्ड इट इज क्लियरली फर मी अल्सो तर द अदर थिङ इज फर मी आई एम a little competitive as a human, so I like being the best at what I'm doing
regardless of what you do.
Regardless of what I'm doing, like even the smallest thing, like if I have to learn something new, if I hate being bad at something, okay, so if I'm working at my family business also, I hate not knowing. That not knowing is me being bad at something. So I make that extra effort of like learning something. So for example, maybe my accounting skills aren't the best. So I will take time out and I'll either sit with the accountant or my dad or someone, or I'll be like, please teach me this because I don't understand it. And I don't want to look like the person who doesn't know. You know, I don't want to be that person. And that's the competitive nature in me coming out of trying to, you know, be the best at what I'm doing. So in that case, that's how I solved my gap, my competitive nature. That I can completely understand where you're coming from of like your business is the first thing, but that's your entrepreneurial nature also. Like I know that you are also like in that, you know, entrepreneurship mindset. So you are like mero business first answer, but some people may not be entrepreneurial. So in that sense, they're not always looking for new business or new business opportunity. But they like the space they're working in. So as soon as they join their family business, that personal incentive nahi bhayalcha ki okay, it's my family thing. The emotional connect is always there, no? And if you have that family business, you've seen it grow since a child. Like since you're a baby, you interact with the employees as a kid, not in a business form, informally ekdamai. Like people who are still working in our company and everything, I have known them since I was 5 years old, you know? So for them, like it's always that emotional connect also always थियो कि okay, this I always want my business to do well. So even if you join थियो, of course incentive हुन्छ to work a little bit to make it better. It sucks if you don't have that incentive because then it's bad for you, of course. But it's even worse for the parents because they're like, we spent our entire life making this amazing and now my kid doesn't even care.
Yes.
So I really hope no one finds that.
I remember last time तिमीसँग कुरा हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ in case कुनै next generation-लाई चाहिँ त्यो business interesting लाग्यो भने bad luck for the first generation.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing much you can do about it.
I agree because I hate it when people are forced into a certain career. You know, like earlier, like I said, you know, even joining your family business can be a pressure from parents and everything. But if your parents are luckily open-minded and they're like, and the kid has the option of not going into it and being like, okay, I want to actually become a doctor and not, be part of the family business, then too bad for them.
अनि आई थिङ्क एउटा अर्को पर्सपेक्टिभबाट चाहिँ अहिले 2022मा चाहिँ जसरी इन्टरनेट एक्सप्लोड भइरहेको छ, वी आर टकिङ अबाउट Web3, वी आर टकिङ अबाउट क्रिप्टो प्रोटोकल्स, वी आर टकिङ अबाउट मेटाभर्स, कम्प्लिटली सोच्दै 10 वर्ष अगाडि हाम्रो अगाडिको जेनेरेसनले सोच्दै नसोचेको बिजनेस अपर्च्युनिटिजहरू एक्सप्लोर भइरहेको छ नि, विच आर भेरी इन्ट्रेस्टिङ पनि कि होइन. इट्स नट जस्ट अबाउट सेलिङ थिङ्स, मेकिङ अ प्रफिट, मेकिङ अ कट होइन. इट्स सो एकदमै भर्चुअल लेभलमा कुरा गर्ने भने के छ होइन. सो त्यो कन्टेक्समा चाहिँ कहिलेकाहीँ अबको नयाँ जेनेरेसनवाला जो मिड 20s या मिड 30sमा छ होइन, जसले who have traditional business to carry upon, but then at the same time they also look up to खतरा नयाँ इनोभेसन भएको, त्यसमा पनि सिफ्ट भएर काम गर्न मन छ. त्यो आई डु नट नो. तर मेरो जस्ट क्वेसन चाहिँ यस्तो हुन्छ होला है, त्यो कन्फ्युजन बिट्विन नयाँ जेनेरेसन कि पुरानो ट्रेडिसनल बिजनेसलाई डिजिटाइज गरौँ गरौँ कि कम्प्लिटली समथिङ जुन मैले टिभीमा देखिरहेको छु, इन्टरनेटमा हेरिरहेको छु, जुन इभल्भ भइरहेको छ ग्लोबली, त्यहाँ जाऊँ यो बिजनेसलाई छोडेर भन्नेवाला कन्फ्युजन पनि कति हुन्छ होला.
हुन्छ मलाई भइरहेछ.
आई एम राइट इक्जाम्पल
होइन. सो लाइक वी वर्क इन अ भेरी ट्रेडिसनल बिजनेस स्पेस, लाइक द रेगुलर अब भइरहेछ जुन लाइक फर years and years. And for me, like, that's not exciting at all. I'm just like, meh, like you said, there's so many new opportunities, technology, and you can implement so many like cool things into the business. And by cool, I don't want it to seem like looking cool, but
the
idea-wise, like actually it can work and create, like, be very disruptive to any industry or something. So firstly, explaining that to the older generation is difficult, especially when there are like more than just one generation. Most family businesses have 2 generations already working, and you are the third one to join. So explaining that to your grandparents, imagine explaining just Facebook to your grandparents can be so difficult. So metaverse the alikati
different level,
it's like almost impossible, so that gap is always there. So when I joined, immediately I was like, why isn't this on digital? Why isn't this like this? Why aren't we using tech for this thing? So in a way, my thinking was wrong, that I can't just come in and like implement
digitize everything
overnight. Doesn't work like that. It has to happen step by step, and we are doing it step by step. Tara, in the older generation ko side pani, they have to let go a little. They can't be like, oh, we've been doing this for all these years and we know how it's done, so it should be done like this. Because next 10 years, the people who you're going to be working with are going to be technology users. Not
Gen Z.
Exactly. Not paila ko este bhairacha, so we are doing it like this. Now younger generations, they want to do everything that's not already been happening. We actually hate that term that, oh, everyone's doing it, so I should also do it. It's actually ulto no now. Everyone wants to be unique and everything.
Everybody is doing it, so I'm not doing that.
Exactly. And even I'm like that a lot of times. So, that thing happens. So like even like the older generation needs to be like, okay, we need to be a little flexible about adding new ideas, because the way things had grown in the 10 years from suppose 1960s to 70, the speed of growth that happened in terms of technology or evolution, and the speed of growth that happened in the like 2000s ko 10 years is very different.
Like them.
More exponential because more technology. Like,
now it is going to be more, next 5 years is going to be a lot crazier.
Exactly. Like, from like regular phone to mobile phone took so many years, but from like one kind of mobile phone to the other, it's like literally every few months there's like a new something completely different. Like basic technology money, there's exponential growth. So for that reason, I think older generation, of course, definitely has to be more flexible and start letting go.
Do you think they are?
Depending on, I think it's very person to person.
Okay. And यही कुरामा add गर्दा फेरि the newer generation that is coming in, your family business man, do you think this newer generation have that enough patience to wait, go with the flow, or to go organically, not trying to do it right away? And त्यो patience भएन भने त frustrate हुने chances त high भयो नि त हैन, or ruining the relationship that was, which on top the business was made, हैन? So
yeah, I have learned to be patient. Let's just say that. I have definitely learned to be patient, and we need to be patient. I mean, we can't say that, oh, I don't have patience, so I can't do it. That's the thing. You have to be patient, and running a business, one thing, no matter which generation you come from, patience is something. And what sucks actually about this whole like social media and technology and everything, everyone expects overnight success, which is the worst thing.
It's a myth.
It's 100% a myth. Like for me also with Educase, like I used to not share the idea with anyone actually in the beginning when I started out, because I used to be like, I've already worked for a few months and I don't have sales also, and what if I'm not successful? This is so bad. And it's been only a few months.
The other logic is a lot of people do not like sharing ideas because they feel मैले सेयर गरिदिएँ भने यसले ल्याएर यसमा होइन त्यो सिक्युरिटीको इस्यु पनि छ जस्तो लाग्छ अहिलेको जमानामा बिकज इफ समबडी हेज टु एक्चुली डु यर बिजनेस होइन इफ द अदर पर्सन इज एज प्यासनेट एज यु आर let them do it and at least you'll know what are the things that can go wrong. Just hypothetically.
No, 100%. Like I think even I probably had that. Like subconsciously, I was also like, okay, if I share the idea with Educase with someone else, what if they do it and like come faster?
So are you comfortable sharing other ideas that you want to do in your life?
I mean, I've had a few which have already happened and I was slow at it. Or maybe I wasn't ready or something. So for example, like intra-city delivery service or something. It hadn't started in Nepal at the time. And Bangalore where I was studying, and UK ma pani थियो already. थियो like just though you have Upay, not even Upay, like the 2-wheelers wala.
यो कति logistic
अनि के छ नि. So that wasn't in Nepal at the time. Theo hadn't started, and I was like, maybe this could work in Nepal. But then again, one person, they only have so much bandwidth. I didn't want to work on everything. Like at least do one thing well and then move on to the next, right? You can't do all things badly. Like you have to like do one thing well and then keep moving like that. And that was one thing I was like very interested in, and I had done so much research. मेरो already folder अहिलेसम्म छ, डिलिट गर्न टाइम भयो. तर like that there are so many ideas which people have done, and I wasn't even sad that they did it. I was like, thank God someone did it, because that gap is there, and now they're solving that problem. And I thought of like different things. Then I thought of like hydroponics. I was very interested in that because I thought it was a very cool idea, and just agriculture is something that hadn't seen technology intervention in years and years and years, and it's suddenly like this extremely great technology that came into agriculture. I did some research, and at that time I felt like Nepal it wouldn't work or something like that, but then there are people doing it and they're doing it well, so I'm glad that they're doing it. I get very excited when I see innovation Nepal or like new technology or new ideas, because I mean that's what I love. Like I love seeing innovation and everything. If I'm not doing it, someone else do it. Like
you can always use those innovation as a stepping stone to build the other business, right?
Exactly. To build something over that. Once you create the baseline innovation, that's how things grow then, It's not like, oh, someone did it, now I will never be able to do it.
Definitely.
That's never there. And creating competition is also fun then, that's how both companies grow.
In fact, yeah, exactly. In fact, like you get more motivation to be better at it, to evolve, to innovate.
Exactly.
I think अघि मैले मेरो क्वेसन गरेर तिमीलाई एन्सर भन्दा भन्दै मैले यता डिभाइड गर्दै त्यो पेसेन्सको कुरा आएको थियो नि त्यो सेकेन्ड जेनरेसनमा. यु वान कम्प्लिट द्याट?
Oh yeah, so I was just saying that how like patience is like just very, very important. China, like we don't have patience. Even I don't have patience a lot of times. Like I'm just like, for example, like if we have to talk to a customer or something or create a deal or something, and पहिलाको टाइममा it was like बसेर पहिला कुराकानी गर्ने, चिया खाने, त्यो गर्ने, and I'm just like, why? You're wasting 1 hour. You could have been doing something else in that 1 hour. यहाँको के सिस्टम छ, पहिला बसेर you can't immediately get to work. You have to like sit, have tea, and talk about life, and talk about things here and there, complain a little bit, and त्यसपछि कामको कुरा लास्टमा 5 मिनट्समा हुन्छ, and you spend 1 hour for that 5 minutes. अनि त्यो efficiency, I was just like, this is so inefficient. तर that's how you create relationships though.
त्यसो भने चाहिँ कहिले फिक्सन क्रिएट भएको छ तिमीले काम गर्न खोज्दा फेरि ओल्ड म्यानेजमेन्ट स्टाइल र तिमीले ल्याउन खोजेको म्यानेजमेन्ट स्टाइलमा?
In general, yes, but then for me right now I still feel like I'm learning. I don't want to create that friction actually. For me, I'm learning, and then if I know something new, for example, like मेरो office there are people who've been there for like over 30 years. Okay, they didn't even know what, like some people, some knew, but then some people didn't even know what Google Drive was. And like Google Drive is so normal for हाम्रो generation ko people. It's like anything happens, Google Drive, I'll create a document, there we can work collaboratively, and 2 minutes ma done. So like the basic, like everything we said no that it was all on paper or something. So I was like, I'll just create a Google Drive document and we can work collaboratively there. When we suddenly went from like work in office to work from home,
COVID.
And everyone was like, how do we work? How do we work now? Sabai the phone ma, how do we manage all this? And then I had to teach Google Drive to someone. So like the most basic kura, like all that, I'd like to bring in like the little bit like how to make things easier for our current technology space. But learning wise, I still want to like first understand how things are done to be able to change it. You can't change without how you know.
Understanding.
Yeah.
True. I think त्यो भएपछि चाहिँ अगाडिको मान्छेलाई पनि ए ओके now that she understand me, I can understand her.
Exactly. You can't just be like, I am here, I know better, and I'm changing everything. I don't believe in that.
True. Okay, so we are almost हाम्रो पडकास्टको लास्ट क्वेसनतिर आएको छौँ होइन. एउटा क्वेसन मलाई सुन्न मन लाग्यो जुन चाहिँ आई विस त्यो क्वेसनको रेलिभेन्सी नभएको भयो होइन. सो इन एन आइडियल वर्ल्ड दिस वुड नट बी अ क्वेसन, तर बिकज द रियालिटी इज डिफ्रेन्ट होइन. मेरो क्वेसन चाहिँ अहिलेसम्म हामी जे पनि कुरा गऱ्यौँ होइन, जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल एडुकेसनको कुरा गऱ्यौँ, फ्यामिली बिजनेसको कुरा गऱ्यौँ, नेपाल र लन्डनको बारेमा कुरा गऱ्यौँ होइन. डु यु एभर फिल वाट युर एक्सपिरियन्स इज डिफ्रेन्ट बिकज यु आर फिमेल या मेल भएको भए चाहिँ यस्तो हुन्थ्यो भने त्यस्तो कहिले फिलिङ्स आएको छ नेपालमा, या यो होल जे गर्न खोज्दाखेरि यो पार्ट अफ वर्ल्डमा है? बिकज वी अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड, आई थिङ्क यो हुन त फिमेल यो डिस्प्यारिटीको कुरा संसारभरि नै छ जस्तो लाग्छ, तर नेपालमा चाहिँ बेसी नै छ जस्तो लाग्छ अलिकति होइन. सो त्यो कन्टेक्स्टमा चाहिँ अगेन टु क्ल्यारिफाई दिस इज आई विस यो क्वेसनको रेलिभेन्सी नभएको भए
I wish you weren't even like you didn't have to.
Exactly.
But it is there.
अनि कन्सिडरिङ नेपालको 51% इज फिमेल होइन, अनि 51%मा पनि सबभन्दा धेरै पपुलेसन भएको यो वर्किङ क्लासको हो क्या, हाम्रो उमेरको पपुलेसन चाहिँ इज मोर फिमेल. अनि त्यो कन्टेक्स्टमा आई थिङ्क दिस क्वेसन माइट बी इम्पोर्टेन्ट भनेर चाहिँ मलाई सोध्न मन.
Of course. No, there is a very big difference in like no matter how or where you are, this is very, very relevant. I'll give you त्यो मेरो के भन्छ फेलोसिपको एक्जाम्पलमा when I was working there, अनि one of the अनि हाम्रो फ्लोरमा there were only 2 females, me and I'm not even the person who's temporarily like permanently there. I was there temporarily. म अनि there was this under secretary who I was working with directly. Both of us were the only females. अनि one of the officials uta, he came and he was like he came to the room where we were sitting and he's like aaj yo katti sundar dekha, like looking so beautiful and all. Do you think he would go to any other man and say the same thing?
Kati handsome dekheko.
It would be so awkward, it would be so creepy.
Yes.
Right? But we are like assumed to accept it and say, oh, thank you so much, I really like that you complimented me kind of thing.
तर त्यो नेचुरली हुनुपर्ने होइन. एउटा फेरि अगेन आइडियल वर्ल्डमा कि यो आज कति राम्रो देखेको भन्ने कुरा त खासै अनइथिकल त होइन नि त.
It's not bad, but then that thing is there that girls लाई नै भन्ने, and we are there only for like decoration जस्तै थियो, and we are there only because female को quota छ. Otherwise we aren't there. That one is of course that the fact that we need to have a female quota already sucks. That 80% have to be female.
Yes.
The fact that rule exists sucks as a society. Ani no, anywhere I go people don't take me seriously. Like if I go, and a lot of times I would go with my brother to some like official office, like some corporate
family business.
Yeah, but we would go like outside to talk to someone or something, or not even like business related, but we would go to buy something or some. He was automatically sir and I was nanny, and he's my younger brother. So the most something which no one even notices, he didn't notice it himself, and he was like, I didn't even notice he said that, but I was like, but that affects how he sees me. He sees me as like a little girl and whatever, nani harayo and whatever, but you are sir. You aren't even working right now, you are in college. I am working and I am doing the payment. Restaurants ma jana bela ma the bill directly goes to the boy. No matter what, who is paying or whatever. I was paying, it didn't come to me, I had to take it from him, and then the waiter went and asked, sir, bill payment dinus ta. So like just the very basic. So mathiko level mein it gets even worse. Like females are there only for quota at this point, to show that we are diverse. It's not because we want them to be there. So I definitely see that women aren't taken seriously. I actually heard someone say recently that females are better HR ma and men are better finance ma. Why? We have the same brain. We did the same education. If I had studied finance, I'm better in finance. I shouldn't be in HR.
Regardless of gender. Like this boy literally told me, he's like, I know everyone's woke and I know like all this like gender kukura answer, but in my opinion, women should do HR
and men should do thing because HR has to do with humans and talking to like people, and women are better with people, but men are better with money. And that didn't sit with me at all. I still don't get how someone can say that in today's generation. But there's so many differences. Like people are like, for me, traveling to a different city now, if I'm working on like Educase ko thing, it's development ko kaam, it happens in remote areas, to visit schools or something. Even my parents are worried for me to go to ekdamai remote ma ekle gaera basne, and because of that even I am worried about my safety, because we have that concern that something can happen to women.
कसैले साइकोलोजिकली नै इन्सेप्ट गरिसकेको छ कि समथिङ क्यान रङ ह्यापन टु यु भनेर.
No, and it happens also. Like if a girl is walking alone, I have been catcalled so many times. Any girl, every single girl has had an incident where she has been harassed in some kind of way. For us, it's so normal at this point. Like I can list down 20 stories where it has been uncomfortable for me to just walk on the street. Also, a busy street, not even ekle rati hinda. Like, would you ever be like, oh, ekle rati kasari hinne? It's scary. Something might happen. Never, right?
It never crosses my mind.
Exactly. Even business, so like going to a remote location, my parents worry about me. Even I worry about myself. So I avoid going as much as possible, unless there are people going with me, kind of thing. Unless there's a boy so who can save me or whatever that nonsense is. So like we can't do basic tasks because it's unsafe for girls, or people might not take us seriously.
And यस्तो कुराहरु चाहिँ, do you also, these uncomfortable moments, do you also feel within your organization, within your system? Because like अघि हामीले भने जस्तै, if you're even joining your family business, you are not, there is a difference between an employee and then you, right? The ladder is much shorter, or like there is a clear defined path to the top executive role. So त्यस्तो सिस्टममा पनि you as a female तिमीले त आफ्नो uncomfortable situationहरु फेस गर्न परिरहेको छ
थियो. तर what I would do is like, I am very strong about this thing of like being like equal in terms of brains. I actually think females are more superior, but that's a different thing.
That's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation. I mean, like there are things, I mean, yeah, whatever. Anyway, but in that case, like I have been very strong-headed about it. Like, you can't treat me differently. Like I'm always like the second anyone says anything about that, I will stop them. For example, we had some office party recently, and it was happening in the evening. Ani tesko lagi when we were making guest list ki office बाट को आउँछ, someone said that maybe it's difficult for females राति जानको लागि, and whatever, like how will they manage. I was like, you are coming, so the female will come. There's no difference of like, and if this bullshit ever comes in front of me again, I will not tolerate it how I'm tolerating it right now. I'm explaining it to you because of like social biases and all. You've been brought up like that to think like this, but now that I'm changing it for you, you can't ever say that again to me ki females shouldn't come because it's unsafe for them. It's unsafe because men are out there. Men make it unsafe. Females don't make it unsafe for females. So maybe I shouldn't call you because maybe you are creating that unsafe environment. But you
literally said that?
I didn't say that directly to him, but because he was my superior. But okay. I mean I was like, but I don't want this bullshit of like I can't, I mean females, maybe we should like tell them not to come because it might be unsafe for them to travel back at night. However you go, they will also go, or you drop them if you think so much about their safety. But there is no discrimination in terms of working.
True. I was talking with a female entrepreneur, and generally when you are like young age ma, just for example 30-35 को मा चाहिँ a lot of networking need to be done, right? अनि यो नेटवर्किङ जेनरली कब हुन्छ 5 बजेपछि हुन्छ, किन भन्दाखेरि मान्छे सबैजना आफ्नै रेगुलर बिजनेसमा हुन्छ नि त हैन. सो मेरो दिमागमा कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि 5 बजेसम्म काम गर्यो, त्यसपछि जुन पनि नेटवर्किङ छ, लन्च छ, डिनर छ, यो कफी छ, त्यो चाहिँ आफ्टर अफिस भेटौँ न भन्ने दिमागमा हुन्छ. जाम्ला घर 7, 8, 9, 10 बजेतिर जाम्ला भन्ने हुन्छ. तर फिल्म अन्टरप्रेन्योरसँग कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ नाउ तिनीहरूले मलाई सेयर गर्दाखेरि मलाई कस्तो भन्दाखेरि ओ माई गड, यस्तो त मैले सोच्दैन. अनि रिगार्डलेस मेल हो कि फिमेल हो, एज एन अन्टरप्रेन्योर यु डु हेभ टु नेटवर्क. त्यो चाहिन्छ होइन. त्यो कन्टेक्स्टमा चाहिँ ड्याम मैले त्यो यो हुन्छ नि, यो त मेरो दिमागमा क्रस पनि हुँदैन कि म जाम कि नजाम भनेर होइन. अनि त्यो कन्टेक्स्टमा तिनीहरूले प्रब्लम सल्भ गर्दाखेरि अब 6 बज्ने बित्तिकै 6:30 बज्ने 7 बज्ने बित्तिकै फोन आउनु थाल्छ. अनि मैले बुझाउनु पर्छ कि होइन, एकचोटि पो बुझाउने, दुईचोटि पो बुझाउने होइन. अनि जेनरली नेटवर्किङ इभिनिङमै त हुन्छ होइन. अब आई डोन्ट नो स्याड हो कि गुड हो होइन, तर अभियसली यदि कसैलाई मलाई भेट्न आउनु मन छ या मलाई भेट्न छ भने 5-6 पछि नै भेटिन्छ जेनरली आफ्नो रेगुलर काम पछि. त्यहाँ चाहिँ ओके वाला हुन्छ नि, त्यो हुन्छ नि. अनि अझै एउटा कुरा चाहिँ के भएको थियो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ एज एन अन्टरप्रेनर मैले बिजनेस गरेर आएको छु, भोलि गएर म बिहा गर्छु, बिहा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कुनै पनि मेरो दिमागमा के हुँदैन भन्दाखेरि अब मेरो पार्टनरले या मेरो पार्टनरको फ्यामिलीले मेरो बिजनेसलाई कसरी गर्छ होइन या हेर्छ,
एक्ज्याक्टली
यदि नराम्रोसँग हेर्छ भने त गो योर ओन वे होइन, बिकज समथिङ द्याट आई ब्रट सिन्स लास्ट 10 years टाइपको हुन्छ मेरो दिमागमा चाहिँ. तर फिमेलको पर्सपेक्टिभ, फिमेल अन्टरप्रेनर पर्सपेक्टिभबाट चाहिँ त्यो कन्सर्न के हुँदो रहेछ भन्दाखेरि विल माई बिजनेस बी इजिली अडप्टेड बाई माई पार्टनर, अरू पार्टनरले त अडप्ट गर्ला बिकज होइन अहिलेको जेनेरेसनमा कोही पनि आज भेट्ने भोलि बिहा गर्ने हुँदैन. तर मेरो पार्टनरको फ्यामिलीले कसरी हेर्ला भन्ने कन्टेक्समा चाहिँ अगेन मैले मेरो पार्टनरको फ्यामिलीले मेरो बिजनेस कसरी हेर्छ भन्ने इज नट माई कन्सर्न. आई डोन्ट इभन केयर अबाउट इट.
एक्ज्याक्टली
होइन,
विल यु एभर थिङ्क द्याट यु नो व्हाट डु हर पेरेन्ट्स
थिङ्क अबाउट माई
बिजनेस, लाइक विल आई स्टप इट बिकज दे से नो.
अनि त्यो कन्टेक्समा चाहिँ ओके त्यो एउटा स्याड रियलाइजेसन छ होइन. अनि अब आई थिङ्क द ओन्ली थिङ द्याट आई क्यान डु जस्तो मलाई के लाग्छ एटलिस्ट आई क्यान टक अबाउट इट होइन. एभ्रिथिङ स्टार्ट फ्रम अ कन्भर्सेसन होइन. अनि आम अ बिग बिलिभर अफ गुड कन्भर्सेसन क्रिएटिङ चेन्जेस. सो त्यो कन्टेक्समा चाहिँ आई थिङ्क मोर एन्ड मोर पिपल सुड बी टकिङ अबाउट इट. अनि जेनरली यस्तो कन्भर्सेसनमा पनि म पहिल्यै अगाडि रेफरेन्स राखेर कि होइन दो आइडल वर्ल्डमा जो क्वेसन नभइदिएको भइदियो, तर बिकज द रियालिटी इज डिफ्रेन्ट वी हेभ टु टक अबाउट इट भनेर चाहिँ निकाल्न खोजिरहेको हुन्छ.
होइन, इट्स इम्पोर्टेन्ट बिकज लाइक अ लट अफ टाइम्स इवन इफ बोइज वान्ट टु केयर or like male, like you know they want to care, they don't know what they want to care about. A lot of times, like how you said that, it never crossed my mind that I have to think ki I can't come because it's unsafe for me, or like the whole like business thing ki if I get married into a family will they accept my business. Kaile ke huncha aile like parents to seem like modern or something. Like my friends have told me these stories where they're like to getting married or whatever, they were like, oh, the boys' parents will allow you to work. Why is that even something you need permission for?
True.
Did my parents allow the boy to work? You know, like why is that a question? So, you know, even like the basic things of like, why is that even a question is the thing. Like a lot of times one of my friends or someone was talking about this like a few months ago about like, you know, I never had to like stand up against my parents or something or no problem and everything. I was like, because you're a boy, you never have to stand up against anything. Everything is in your favor. For us, everything is against us. That's why we are more rebellious and people are like, oh, females and feminists are so rebellious. It's because we don't have the basic rights and we're just asking for basic human rights. We're not asking, give us more rights than men. We're just like, give us that opportunity at least to be on the same playing field.
True. 100% true. 100%. I wish यो नयाँ जेनेरेसन जुन हाम्रो जेनेरेसन छ, हाम्रो जेनेरेसनको चाहिँ रिगार्डलेस अफ वाट जेन्डर वी हेभ,
एक्ज्याक्टली
आई थिङ्क त्यो चेन्जेसहरू चाहिँ आएको देखिरहेको छु मैले होइन. अनि आई थिङ्क कोही रेडिकली स्टुपिड मान्छेहरू त जहाँ पनि हुन्छ रिगार्डलेस अफ एज होइन. तर आई एम अप्टिमिस्टिक कि यो नयाँ जेनेरेसन इज डिफ्रेन्ट, वे डिफ्रेन्ट. अनि कुरा गरेर हुँदाखेरि मैले के भन्छु भन्दाखेरि नेपालले अहिलेसम्म हाम्रो जस्तो जेनेरेसन पाएकै थिएन कि. पहिला 30 वर्ष अगाडि पनि 30 वर्ष 35 वर्षको यो मिलेनियल्स लेभलको मान्छेहरू त थिए, तर दे डिडन्ट ह्याड इन्टरनेट कि. अहिलेको चाहिँ इन्टरनेट इन्फर्मेसन यो एज होइन, हाउ थिङ्स आर ब्लोइङ अल अराउन्ड द वर्ल्ड. इन्डियामा स्टार्टअपको बुम भइरहेको छ, स्टार्टअप डे भनेर सेलिब्रेट गरिरहेको छ. लास्ट 1.5 yearsमा 10 युनिकर्न्सभन्दा बेसी देखिसकेको छ, आइपिओमा गइरहेको छ. त्यो हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ आई थिङ्क नेपालले अहिलेसम्म यस्तो जेनेरेसन चाहिँ पाएको थिएन. अनि केही न केही चाहिँ यो जेनेरेसनले गर्छ भन्ने चाहिँ आई होप चाहिँ छ.
आई रियली विश इट ह्यापन्स.
अनि होइन गर्नु पऱ्यो किन भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो इट्स लाइक वी आर अल्सो ट्रस्टिङ अन अस नि त होइन. इट्स लाइक नट बिलिभिङ अन दिस जेनेरेसन इज लाइक आई एम नट बिलिभिङ अन माइसेल्फ.
Yeah, for sure. That is very true. But like again, like I just really hope it happens. I mean, I moved back for that. Otherwise, I would be sitting in some other country trying to build my unicorn or something. Like I wish it happens in Nepal, and I want to do it on my own as well. Like, you know, hope one of my ideas works out that way. Yeah, and I mean, Educase is definitely. I have hope in it that it'll go outside Nepal, and you know. Then people are like, this is a Nepali product. Then it's not like, no one ever refers to anything as, oh, this is like, Nepal is good at that. You know, my aim is to see that people are like, go back to being like, suppose hami yo sector ma kaam garne, I think we should like reach out to people in Nepal. Like for example, anything happens tech related, they're like, we should reach out to companies in India because they're great at it. So I want something like that for Nepal also, you know, and I really wish people think in that space, that innovatively or that direction that they want to create that space where they're like, okay, Nepal is good at something, and not just saying that Buddha was born in Nepal or Mount Everest or something like that. But you know, like beyond that we're good at something.
True, definitely. And I think this generation will do it.
Yeah.
We have to do it.
We have to do it.
We have to do it. So yeah, I think the amazing conversation. But Keith, Vedika, before we end our episode, do you want to say anything to our audience? Our audience are generally, I think 60-65% are Nepal based. Major age 18 to 35 छ. 35% देखि 40% चाहिँ बाहिर बेस्छ. मेजर अडियन्स चाहिँ 20 देखि 35-40 को छ हैन. अनि मैले चाहिँ कसरी क्याटेगोराइज गर्छु भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ यहाँ भएको मान्छेहरू चाहिँ आर कन्फ्युज. दे वान्ट टु डु समथिङ इन नेपाल बट देन दे इक्वली वान्ट गो आउटसाइड बिकज यहाँ ट्रेन्ड नै छ बाहिर जानेवाला हैन. सो वान अफ द इन्टेन्सन अफ डुवर्स वाज टु एक्चुली टक विथ पिपल आर अलरेडी डुइङ अमेजिङ थिङ्स इन नेपाल. अनि नेपालमै बसेर गर्न पनि सकिन्छ. एन्ड गो आउटसाइड फर अ राइट रिजन भनेको इफ यु वान बी एन एस्ट्रोनट डेफिनेटली गो. इफ यु वान स्टडी एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स डेफिनेटली गो होइन. बट देन इफ यु वान स्टार्ट अ बिजनेस, स्टे विथ यर फ्यामिली, मेक गुड मनी, क्रिएट एन इम्प्याक्ट, दिस इज अ वन्डरफुल प्लेस टु डु द्याट होइन. द्याट्स ओन्ली पोसिबल वेन वी ब्रिङ दिस पिपल इन फ्रन्ट जसले गरिरहेको छ. सो वान क्याटेगोरी भने जो चाहिँ भनौँ लाइक यस्तो मान्छेलाई देखाउनु पर्ने छ. अर्को क्याटेगोरी चाहिँ बाहिर बसेको जो चाहिँ विदेश गइसकेको छ, जो चाहिँ कन्फ्युज छ. देश फर्कौँ कि नफर्कौँ होइन. सो त्यो एउटा डायस्पोरालाई पनि यस्तो कन्टेन्टहरू दिन मन गर्ने कन्टेन्सनबाट पनि सुरु भएको होइन. सो एनिथिङ यु वान टेल टु आवर अडियन्स डिरेक्टली?
I think for people who are staying here, I would say that go for like doing something here. Like going out, you'll just get lost in that big country. You'll do something very tiny there. But here you have you know the gap, you know the problems, and that's why you're leaving. So instead of complaining and saying that Nepal ma kehi chaina, solve that problem. It doesn't have to be starting your own business or like we don't have the best doctors or we don't have the best engineers. Become that and, do it yourself then, one is that.
And monetize, make tons of money.
Yeah, make
Nobody's
tons of money.
stopping you.
No one is stopping you. I mean, there are people who will be like, why are you making money? Make it. They are just haters, I mean, people who are outside, like, who are like, should I come back or not? Like, they should 100% come back. You have that wealth of knowledge you've gained from that other country. Okay, stay there for a few more years, but then you can come back and become bigger here. Like, I moved back very recently, and it takes, usually in any other country, or suppose like India, our neighbor ko example, till you don't earn like thousands and thousands of crores, you're not in the public eye or people don't know about you. I have worked here for not very long. I am doing something new. I won't say I'm very successful or something. I'm getting there. But I still, like in Nepal, you easily get that support. You get that attention, or you can voice your opinion. Like I'm sitting here, someone who's fairly new in their career, and I'm getting to, share my opinions very openly, very easily in a platform which people wouldn't have easily gotten if they were in a very big country like India or something, where things are already way, way forward, right? You need to like start very high over there. But here there's so many opportunities. Like unfortunately, we're in a place where there are so many opportunities. It's a good thing and a bad thing. Bad thing only because like in the past not much happened. But the good thing that you can make it happen now. So come back and work on it.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah. I think there is nothing much for me to add. So if you there are tons of takeaways to take away from. And I'll link Vedika ko LinkedIn account or email address. So if anybody wants to reach out, feel free.
Yeah, 100%. I love talking about all startups or helping people out in their new ventures. So feel free to reach out to me.
And she has tons of ideas that you can
steal from me.
Steal from her. Tons of ideas that she's not going to execute. And tons of ideas she'll be executing.
Yes.
But then,
yes.
Yeah, please reach out to her. Take some good ideas and execute.
Yeah, take the ones which I'm not doing so that at least someone's doing them.
So on that note, it was very nice talking to you, Vedika.
It's always great talking to you as well.
I look forward to another podcast with you. Till then, keep on listening. Like, share and support. We have created a dedicated Discord server recently. We're trying to bring all these young doers mindset people in one place and see how we can support each other. Discord I'm active. Some join garnu. It's a very nice community that we are building. We'll be back again arko episode ma. Till then, you guys take care. Bye-bye. Awesome.
It wasn't as scary as I thought it would be.
Nerves what?
Alikati tara, it was like regular conversations.